Everybody, it is Sunday night at something around 9:30 p.m. Welcome to the APAT show. Leigh, we're not alone tonight.
No, we are not alone. We have two superstars from the world of poker news. We have the one and only Super Matt Pitt, and live and exclusive from. When it's always a Las Vegas thing, I want to do something like it's 9:30 in London, it's 1:30 in Las Vegas. It's like a Live Aid thing or something. But it is the one and only Dan Williams wandering the corridors of the Horseshoe in Las Vegas. Good evening to you both.
Evening.
Good evening, gents. World Series of Poker, right? That's the story of the week. We have PokerNews' finest here with us, Leigh. It's got to be all about the World Series of Poker. I don't know about you, but I resubscribed to Poker Go about 48 hours ago. I've taken it out for 3 months. Going to watch a bit of poker, particularly when the main event comes around. But guys, I've been reading a lot of your stuff, Matt. You're doing a lot of reporting from the World Series of Poker. Dan, I've seen you play, and what are you up to in Vegas now that the casino event didn't work out as planned?
I think he's freezing.
Oh, he's gone. He's disgusted with the question, Leigh. He considered it a rub down and basically disappeared. Well, maybe in classic Eurovision style, he'll come back with the response in 3 to 4 minutes time. At which point we'll have moved. Look at him go. At which point we'll have moved on to another question. Dan, are you there?
Hello. Yeah, I think so. The internet's atrocious as always, so apologies. Just had I tried to get you Phil Hellmuth in shot there, but he wandered off. He didn't want to be seen, so apologies. But it's good fun. I saw Alan Kessler yesterday. Found out he's obviously got a team in our fantasy draft, which is cool. He had no idea what he'd done, but he didn't quite realize he'd entered it. But anyway, he was super excited. So I might go and try and find him for you now. In the 10K PLO, but I think APAT.
Dan was saying APAT takes precedence, right?
Seriously, appalling. Well, how do they actually do any reporting, Matt, over there if the Wi-Fi is that bad?
It's not like they take 300 million in rake, is it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, is that the numbers? I mean, you crunch all these kind of things at the end of the year. I mean, last year, what did they take?
Yeah, Thunderdome, where the internet's supposed to be fully on.
Just ignore him.
I probably sound like I'm underwater. So yeah, apologies.
Basically, if you go into payouts of each event on PokerNews and look at third place, that's the rake per event. So
oh wow! Okay.
That's usually what it works out as. So it's pretty massive. Obviously, like the main event's probably about 3-4 million. So there's somebody somewhere making a few shillings off of our loyalty to the brand.
That's incredible. So you're saying every single event Caesars take around third place money. So they never win a bracelet, but they're doing well.
Yeah, they're just getting it quietly.
Crikey. That is huge. But Matt, no matter what they take, and no matter how bad the Wi-Fi is or how long the lines can be, players just keep going back. It's intoxicating. I've already had a little look at the heads up. I've been following, as I said, your reports and the live updates from Vegas pretty religiously every morning. It's just, it's unmissable content, really.
World Series is basically, I've always said it's like it's poker's equivalent of like Super Bowl or the World Cup.
Yeah, yeah.
Or if you're a tennis fan, Wimbledon, it's the big one, isn't it? It's like there's even players now who've been played 20, 30 years who
Yeah.
are still grinding bracelet events because that's what they want. It's what everybody aspires to, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You go
Well,
when you first start playing
Johnny
like
Hinnigan,
110
right? He
suited.
just took a
Yeah,
bracelet yesterday. Insane.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
I think that's his
Hennigan,
seventh.
it was his seventh, and each one's in a different discipline. Figure that one out,
Yeah. Wow.
which is pretty impressive.
I have to say that was a feature of the first 4 or 5 days. I don't know, has it even been 4 or 5 days? But lots of really old names, like lots of names that, I haven't seen for ages. Jen Harmon, Eric Lindgren, there's lots of them that seem to have made it through to, day 2, or they're, at a point they're up there in the top 100 or whatever, so they're visible. Seems to be a lot of the old timers over there. Danny, have you seen many of them around?
Yeah, they're around. So, it's WSOP season. These guys come out in force. They kind of hide away for 12 months and then they're back again. So, yeah, the likely stories are here. But what's been really interesting for us is the stories that have come out of this series already early on are crazy. So you've got a guy that wins the 25K heads up who's a businessman and puts half of his bankroll into it and then just goes and beats an elite field. You've got a British guy who doesn't play poker at all. I mean, I know the guy. He lives in Swindon and plays in local £20 games. Just wins the bracelet and wins the $500 kickoff, eliminating Daniel Negreanu like deep in day 3 or whatever it may be. So there's some really fun stories going on. But you're right. The old guard is still here grinding. We were just over by the 08, Kessler, Helmuth, Victor Blom. All big names. But it's like a circus, right? We all know this. Anybody that's been here before, it's a circus, and it continues to be super fun. Just as Matt said, with all that rake, they still can't afford internet. But hey ho.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane. It's insane when you consider it like that. So, what are your plans, Dan? How long are you over there for?
So I fly home on Wednesday now. So I've been here since Sunday, so sort of 10, 11 days. Lots of bits to do. Sadly, our ambassador Lucas has been sick all week. He arrived with me and he played 1 event or 2 events, and then has been locked in his hotel. So
Nightmare.
I was due to be on holiday from now, enjoying myself and doing some bits. And I'm now still working, but I do like Wayne's World have a cool VIP pass. So, bit of backstage access. But yeah, so a bit up in the air, but we're going to play some bits. James Hartigan's upstairs in the Daily Deep Stack at the moment. So you're going to go find him, film some content, and then I'm going to play some bits off the strip, on the strip, but out of Rio, bloody hell, out of Paris and the Horseshoe for the next couple of days, and bring home some money, hopefully.
Fantastic. Love the sound of it. Dan Williams there showing what 3 or 4 days in Vegas can do to your mind. He's already sort of regressed. What about 24 months? Incredible stuff in 3 or 4 days. Your mate, Lucas, had a deep run in the casino event, so really bad luck to have gotten ill. He seemed to be in form.
Yeah. So he fired the 5K reunion, didn't run very well in that. So hopped into the casino employees event, which is, caused a little bit of controversy, I want to say. But less so for Lucas.
Dan, quite rightly, because, I mean, I asked the question, when I saw it, I thought, hang on a minute, how has he got into this? What's that all about? So what's the story? I mean, is it just the fact that obviously technically he works for you guys, so he's allowed to get in and play in that, or what?
Oh, it's gone serious. He's not saying anything. He's claimed the 5th.
This is what happens. You ask a serious question and it all freezes up. Yeah, I mean,
he's not even that.
It wasn't originally on his plan to play, but the line here is if you work for a media company and the lion's share of your income is through that work, which Lucas would qualify for as a, although he plays poker full time, his job title is a content creator. So, and at this point he was in the 5K event, but our podcast was in there, other poker players, social.
We need to get out there, Des. You and I are content.
Yeah.
We're content creators. We could do that.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Matt, definitely Matt could. I mean, we should all be out there. I mean, what are we
We
doing
should be playing
here?
the casino
Honestly.
event.
So, yeah, a bit of WSOP allowed him to play. Oh, did I get lost again?
You did a little
Internet's
bit.
atrocious,
Yeah,
right?
you did. Dan, tell us.
But yeah, in essence, WSOP allowed
Dan,
him
tell
to
us
play.
about the deep stacks. Whilst we've still got you, new thing for this year. PokerNews heavily supportive and behind it. So give everyone an idea of what's been going on so far, because I think a lot of people have been over there playing it. There's been a lot of publicity. Players playing the dailies.
Because I keep cutting.
No, I don't think we're getting value out of Dan tonight, Leigh. How much are we paying him? And can we cut that right back?
A lot, honestly.
Oh.
Oh.
Can you
He's
hear
never
me
going to
now?
get in as a content creator. Yeah, we've got you again, Dan. We've got you again.
Shall we cut him, Leigh? Shall we just cut him? Shall we just cut? I've always wanted to just cut him.
I think the question is about the deep stacks, right?
Yes, deep stacks.
Fine. Okay. So this year there's a new initiative. So PokerNews is sponsoring the daily deep stacks, which are obviously quite a mainstay for the low buy-in tournament grinders here at WSOP. So every day there are 3 daily deep stacks, $250, $400, and $200. They now have their own dedicated room. So those that have been to the WSOP before will know that normally they would just fit into the overflows in Paris or in Horseshoe. But now there are 2 floors next to the kind of standard poker room in the Horseshoe where these take place. They play out as per usual. However, there's a leaderboard every week, and the top 10 players in that leaderboard win a $600 entry to the PokerNews Deep Stack bracelet event, which is happening in 4 weeks now. So it's a really fun initiative. There's some beautiful stories coming out of it already where, you know, you've got some first timers at the WSOP playing their biggest ever buy-in as a deep stack and then are winning it and therefore getting tickets to play a big bracelet event. So yeah, it's really exciting. Obviously for us to be partnered in even more capacity with WSOP is super cool. And yeah, it's like its own mini series at the WSOP. So if you are coming, flick one in, get the added value. Don't cry to me if you lose. The standard of play is interesting. That's all I'll say. But yeah, really cool initiative. So it's good fun.
Absolutely brilliant from PokerNews. And, you know, one thing Vegas is not short of in summer is great events. But price points, and with that World Series of Poker bracelet event is a nice sort of, you know, added prize. It's a great story.
Yeah, absolutely. I might not be able to hear you for a second. I'm about to walk through some slot machines. I promise I won't put any money in, but we're just going to try and get past them and find some better internet.
Can we just stand at the slot machines for 20 minutes, Dan, do you think? I mean, it's all about the slot machines, right? Oh, my God. What the hell is that?
Does he not get... Seriously, you need to invest in some headphones, honestly. It's the future.
Oh, please don't put me back in your ear.
From Vegas. I mean, I'm trying to hear what you're saying, but, you know, all I can hear is Buffalo!
He's wandering past the slot. He's wandering past the slot machine that Ellis, Paul, and myself.
Oh, here we go! Yes, 1-0.
We're winners, absolutely.
I mean,
whilst Dan's getting through this. Oh, go on. Right, to be fair, he's nearly down. He's nearly down at the other ballroom. He's done a good job. He's got across the Horseshoe casino floor, and he is now getting close to the actual card room at the Horseshoe. He's just going down past reception. Yeah, he's nearly there. Keep going, Dan.
Leigh, you could tell Leigh's a degenerate. He knows exactly where I am in this setup, just from the background. That's worrying. But as he says, yeah, I'm just kind of walking through the link between the Horseshoe and Paris. We're going to head over there. So Mystery Millions Day 1D is taking place. It's the final day you can buy in. Obviously, $1 million bounty guaranteed in the prize pool. Fun one to play. Hopefully, there'll be some faces we notice in there potentially. I can obviously get next to the tables with this bad boy, but could just be a bunch of nobodies, but that's fine. But we'll have a look anyway.
whilst you're finishing that walk, and we'll just quickly have a chat with Matt whilst you're just getting into the ballroom. Yeah, that's it's whilst we're doing that. So Matt, you're based in the UK. So how does the World Series of Poker work for you? Because as Des said, we've seen a lot of content.
Yeah, it's been
coming
brilliant.
out from you in the last week. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not going this year, and I'm already a bit fed up of it. So how are you feeling about it already a week in?
I think I was crying into my morning coffee on day 2 because there's so much. But obviously, because of the time difference, what I basically do is from 8 a.m. our time, which is about midnight Vegas. Every event that's running, I have open on my screen and like check for reporters making mistakes like putting duplicate cards in or spelling people's names wrong. Basically, shadow editing from afar. And then when everything wraps up, I'll put the seat draws into the live blog, update the chip counts when WSOP sends it through, and just do like a lot of little back end stuff so that
Yeah.
the reporters can just jump straight in the following day. And then I create a full recap of that day's action
Yeah.
each day, Monday through Friday. Managed to swindle Saturday and Sunday off, which is which
Skill.
is it. Yeah, well, I think it's because a couple of years ago I did literally every single day for 6 weeks, and I didn't know if we were coming or going. So it's just like, look, I need weekends off, but you can never really take it off because as soon as you fire up social media or any other
Yeah.
messages, uh, like Slack and stuff, there's messages bombarding everywhere, and everyone's busy. So I can't help myself. I just have to jump in and do little bits, like. But I love the game and I love everything to run smoothly. So I just have to keep
People don't
my
probably
finger in.
realize, Matt, when they think PokerNews are live updating, they just assume it's the team that are actually at the event, looking over players' shoulders, writing down, hand details and all that kind of thing. But actually, there is a whole team that are working kind of remotely or off site, as you say, doing the editing, the checking, pushing all the social media stuff out. I mean, it's no small feat to get it all done, and doing that for effectively 2 months straight.
Yeah, well, one of our social media people, he's working 4 in the morning is his start time for the next 6 weeks. So that there's some overlay. I've said to him, that's going to be his brand new. That's going to be his life now because after 6 weeks, that's enough to drill it into your body. That's when you get up. But yeah, There's other people on the ground that you won't see, like Shirley, who's the live reporting manager. She works like nobody else in this business. She's crazy, trying to keep 30 or whatever it is live reporters happy. Dealing with illnesses, reshuffling schedules,
Oh, it
and
must be
she's still
difficult.
like negotiating deals for future events while she's up to her armpits in WSOP stuff. So yeah, there's a lot more that goes on. People just see like you said, that they see the updates at the end, but there's a lot that goes in
Yeah.
that you don't see. It's very labor intensive. It's a very manual thing. But at the end of the day, it's what PokerNews is known for, and no, I know I'm biased being PokerNews, but nobody does it as good as PokerNews. So especially not when it's something on this scale.
Yeah, you're the go-to, Matt. Absolutely no question. And I have to say, when Leigh said to me, I guess it was yesterday or the day before that you'd confirmed that you were coming on, I asked him. I said, "Is Matt back from Vegas or what's going on?" Because having read seriously the first couple of days, and I mean, I consider myself to be like reasonably in the know. It felt like you were over there. It felt like you were smack in the middle of it. So I think that's just goes to it's a great compliment to the way that PokerNews works. It does feel like a fully aligned team effort, and of course, it has to be almost a global team effort because the whole thing is so big.
Yeah, it's crazy because obviously there's 99 live events this year.
Oh yeah,
So that's a lot. The one difference that we've done this year is apart from the main event, I think any one that's got multiple day ones, so like the one you're scrolling down now, the Mystery Million, we're not doing traditional live updates for those ones, just because they're so big, and we found that obviously engagement's very low on our side of things, and it allows then the live reporters to be focused on. So don't want to take away from these events, but like the bigger, like when the
yeah,
meets, that somebody on this who should have been on this, but will now be reporting on like the 10K Omaha high low,
Yeah.
where you want, you know, more eyes, more updates, because as much as it's really important for us, you know, as poker players in this event, I think there's been about 15,000 people so far, and only like 1,000 gets through to day two. So our
Yeah.
coverage is going to start on day two and
Yeah.
follow on
Yeah.
from there. It just
So,
allows Shirley to assign people a lot better and get a lot more bang for your buck for them. So
yeah, so Matt, so this one I've got up here, it says at the bottom there, you can see it's a MyStack user post. So just explain how that's now working, because you're getting content in from effectively other sources rather than it be a live reporter, yeah?
yeah, well, MyStack's been around for quite a
Years.
while, but then
Yeah.
because of the changes in ownership and things of PokerNews, it's kind of been passed pillar to post. But I know that the tech team spent an awful lot of time developing it. So basically, you create a PokerNews account, which is free, just email and password, a couple of little details, and then you can log into the live reporting as you, and you can put photographs, update your chip count, and it automatically puts you in the chip counts. If you bust, you can go down. I know they're trying to get a lot more features with this, but they don't want to roll them out during WSOP just in case it all goes belly up, you know. But it's pretty cool because it also helps the lesser known players get a little bit of
Yeah.
love on PokerNews,
Yeah.
because it's impossible to know everyone in the field, you know. So, like for example, I mean, they know us because we're in the poker industry, but they might not know, you know, Joe Bloggs, who plays Red Tooth Poker League, who's
Yeah,
taken
of
a shot,
course.
whereas he can now get involved and have his name on PokerNews, and obviously all the PokerNews updates as well automatically filter through to the WSOP site as well. So
Absolutely.
it's like
And
a
I
So
guess
there's a
the
few different
irony is,
options here. I was just saying there's a few different options here. So like this guy here, Pat, who's just all he's done is he's gone on to my stack and effectively just confirmed his seat number and where he is and what his stack is, and it's taken what his stack was and what his latest one is and given a plus or a minus, and that's it. It's just a post. Whereas obviously the one above, someone's actually uploaded a photo and put in a little bit of words to it as well, and it all feeds through on that particular event. I think it's phenomenal, and also taking Twitter or X now content as well.
and I think, like I said, there's a few more features that they're testing in the background, so that like the actual reporters on the ground are able to like add more color to some of these MyStack posts, you know, and just make it a little bit more interactive with people playing poker. You know, a lot of people know about PokerNews, and they want, you know, for some people, when we've spoken to them, and even if you just catch them in a hand, they're so delighted to be part of the live updates. But again, the problem is in the WSOP, unless you get deep, there's no like ID cards or anything, so you're relying
yeah,
on people actually knowing you, or you've been involved in a big hand for someone to come up and say like, "Oh, excuse me, what's your name? I want to put you in the updates." And we all know a lot of time poker's just fold in, or you know,
yeah,
get into flop and fold into a C bet. So you don't really, the actual chances of you being an unknown player of finding yourself in like the live updates is actually quite slim, you know, just because of the nature of the beast. Whereas this gives people a little bit control of their own destiny, and like you say, if they put this table draw, if they put the seat number on, it's more likely that our reporters then will go and watch them in a hand, you know, or and things like that. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's like I said, some of the features that I'm not allowed to talk about because it's an internal thing they are going to be pretty cool in the coming weeks and months.
if there was two things, Matt, two things that I could ask for, on my wish list for the live updates themselves. So, you know, I follow both on the site, but I also use the app. Site's probably got more info on, but the app's, you know, an app's an app. It's great, super handy to get to where you want to go to pretty quickly. But the two things I think is that, you know, I might have a look at 8 o'clock in the morning, just a quick update on where we are. And then I might, you know, it might be midday, right? I want to get the end of day, you know, from Vegas or whatever it might be. One of them is, wouldn't it be lovely to be able to type in a player's name and it just brings up the posts, if any, related to that player? So if I typed in Negreanu or Chittick or whatever, it just shows this 6 or 7 posts related to that player in that event. So I get a super quick, he's chipped up, he's out. That'd be number one. But the second one is that, I find that if I revisit an update, after an hour or two, obviously I'm seeing the most recent posts first. So that little journey of, I can quickly flick through 20, 25 posts. But if I'm having to go back, like if I'm having to scroll down to get to the first one, because I don't necessarily want to know whether my player's out or where, I'm missing the 25 post journey if I look at the most recent post. Those are two ones I think they'd be absolutely fantastic just from a user. So sorting and searching, they're fairly basic, but you've got so much content on there. Maybe it's not so easy to do. Might also incentivize players to log in to PokerNews as well, because I guess you can then record where they are in the update.
In some of the live updates, I'm not quite sure about the app because, again, that's another work in progress. But on the actual updates on the site, on the end of the post, the reporters tend to tag the players that are involved in that post, and a quick clicker then brings up everything that we've wrote about those.
I could do it.
A new feature that we did for the chip counts this year in the events, there's a filter now where you can filter by country. So if
I saw that. That's excellent. Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of countries obviously get quite patriotic. You want to see all the Brazilians. You can sort by the badges that we've got in there. A lot of people are following the 25k fantasy at the moment.
Yeah.
So you could filter by them. And again, it's the tech guys. We have like a once a week meeting where they show what they've been doing, and obviously it's beyond me is all the coding. And I'm pretty sure that as soon as they put one new feature in, it probably disables another one. That's just how coding works, isn't it? So so it's like with the recent things, I've started putting emojis onto posts so people can like love, and I think there's about 15 different little emojis. They've gone quite well. People saying like bad beat or suck outs and just your general poker terms. Just to try and get people a little bit more, interactive with it rather than just reading. So it's good features coming and like I said, they're always looking to improve things as well.
Yeah.
Yourself in this industry, you can't stand still.
No, and you guys have done a brilliant job. I mean, you've had it for so long, and as you quite rightly said, you're the go-to. There are others out there doing news, but PokerNews, I think, will always be the go-to and associated with the World Series of Poker. So, Matt, you've had the joy of getting a Saturday and Sunday off. Good result. Is this it now for the rest of the summer? Are you going to be pretty much on the World Series of Poker flat out?
Yes, that's obviously main focus. I mean, I don't know the exact figures, but like a huge amount of our traffic obviously stems from these 2 months. The clients that PokerNews have got don't tend to run many promotions or festivals online because there's nobody to play them. So, but you've still got to try and keep those happy as well. So it's a little bit of a juggling act. We've got deliverables from, clients that we've got that still have to be met. But at the moment, there's just me in the European time zone and the guy that's doing the weekends. So luckily, no one's decided to, like GG's not decided to run some crazy festival that mirrors a series or something like that, So, but yeah, this will be me until 17th of July or whenever it is when the main event finally crowds.
Yeah.
Well, it's not the last event anymore, is it? It's when the last of.
Still the one you look forward to. I have to say personally. Here's some feedback from a customer, Matt. Barry Cullen out there, long-term APATer, says, I was lucky enough to have a hand reported on and my photo taken by PokerNews in last year's Mystery Bounty. I was buzzing. And, that's just, that is what 90% of recreational poker players would say. To be, covered in one of the updates, have your picture in there is like, it makes it all real. Something to look back on. Fantastic.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Sorry, Leigh, go on.
No, go on, Matt. Go on, Karen.
No, I was just about to say that because obviously PokerNews, everyone knows PokerNews is a business and it's in the business of making money. That's what it
Yeah.
does. But I can honestly, hand on heart, say that every single person that works for our team loves poker and wants to produce a product and help, grow poker and push it in a good
Yeah.
light.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we know that obviously Phil Ivey, Daniel Negreanu, Helmuth, they get clicks on your site just naturally. But we also know, the normal guy, your Barry Cullens, they're the ones
Yeah.
who visit your site, and they've got a ton of value as a customer. So we want to give them,
Yeah.
a little bit of love and show people like that in live. Like I've been on Poker News years and years ago, and it is pretty cool, as someone who's not a known player. To see your name, it's on it's same pages as like Negreanu and Helmuth and stuff like that. It is cool. I don't care. I know we're all nerds, but it's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's
no, I
right.
absolutely agree. I was just going to mention a couple of messages back in the chat. Paul Hinmarch was in and just said good luck. He's heading out to Vegas again this year. Paul had a ridiculously good run in an event last
Didn't he
year.
just? Yeah.
Pub poker player, won a trip out there and was playing out there. He's only got one entry on his Hendon Mob, and it is this one from last year. He finished 8th in the $600 deep stack last year for about 32,000, I think it was, something like that.
And
Yeah,
that's a big deal.
$32,000, and finished 8th in the end in that event. To say it is one and only entry on the Hendon Mob, but what one to have.
What an entry.
And of course, he'll have been reported on by Poker News last year for that event, making the final table on that, sort of 2 million plus in the prize pool there, for just over 4,000 entries in that last year, and he finished 8th. Let's say first kind of real proper tournament, and he's back out there again this summer. He said in his message, planning to do better than last year. I mean, to be honest,
very nice. Love the ambition.
Yeah, that's a big field. I mean, the thing is, the structures are pretty quick. So to actually get through 8th, it's like what top 0.1% or something daft of a tournament. It's pretty cool. And like I say, even though he's obviously a relative unknown in the grand scheme of things, once it gets to like final 3 or 4 tables, they all get a player profile and and stuff like that. So I mean, I won't mind getting a WSOP final table. My only foray into the WSOP were back in 2013. I played the Casino Employees event. There wasn't as much controversy of me playing back then, and but I was playing on Sam Rezavi's dime. He backed me for it on a 70-30 free roll, and it didn't go to plan. But it was good fun. It was pretty cool to be in a WSOP event, even if it was one that's not open to the public.
I think it's a nice opener, though. I do think. I mean, it is the amount of obviously the effort that goes in the team behind actually putting on 2 months worth of poker out in Vegas. I think to have that as the opening event, where it's a case of actually, so casino employees can play this, the industry can play this. Maybe they should drop the casino employees bit and just make it kind of poker industry, casino industry entry, and just leave it at that. Because I think it's a lovely opener to have as to kind of kick things off. I know there's other tradition that go on now with the champion of champions and all that kind of thing, but it's a nice thing.
It's tradition, a bit like the Charity Shield to some respects. You love to see it. You can't necessarily play in it, but you love to see it because it signifies the start of the summer of poker. So yeah, always love to see it going. And let's hope they keep that price point. What is it, $500 at the moment?
Yeah, it's $500. I mean, Poker News' Chad Holloway won it in 2013, which was pretty cool. But I've always said the danger is, what happens if you've got a really good dealer that wins 150k and just goes, I ain't working now. I'm going back home on day 2.
There's the risk.
And we know the truth of it, that most dealers will always think they're very good poker players. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. It's there's a couple of them over in the Irish Open this year. Nate and Danny both played one of the events and actually made day 2, and you kind of were looking at them going, how's this going to work? But to be honest, they bust it and we're back dealing the following tournament before you knew what was going on. So you can do that without too much of a bother. So although we have got a lot of poker going on, I mean, it would be remiss of us whilst you're on, Matt, if it's not too soon to be talking football after what went on last last weekend. You were there? Yeah, that's
Yes. Well, it was funny. What aren't you from Southampton, or did you live in Southampton
I
for a
lived
little
in
bit?
Southampton for a little while. Yeah,
Because
yeah, yeah.
I said to my missus, I went, because obviously I spoke to you yesterday, and I were at this 1940s weekend, and I'd had a couple of beers, and then when I stopped talking to you, I'm like, I'm sure that sod's from Southampton. That's why he's got me on. That's why he wants me on here. And all
Dirty
I'm waiting for
sod.
is I'm just waiting for Pilgrim to turn up now in chat and rub it in as well.
No, definitely. No, definitely. It was one of those, to be honest. It was probably, it was certainly the best next two teams in the playoff final. That's for sure. And to be honest, before the game, I don't think there was a lot between them. Probably you were just a little bit favourites. But Southampton seemed to kind of just execute their game plan, and you guys just couldn't seem to kind of turn on the same as you did for the second leg of the semi-final.
That's been the story of Leeds' last 8 weeks last 8 games at season. We've been pretty terrible. Um, Obviously, we clawed us way back, and we're from like 17 points behind Leicester at start of the year, won 13 games in a row, whatever it was, and then it just seemed to fall apart. We drew with Watford, and we were terrible. Um, we like lost at home to Blackburn, drew at home to Sunderland, lost to like Rotherham, and it's like the points that we've dropped against teams that we should be winning.
Yeah.
We kind of, apart from that, I think that demolition of Norwich in second leg was probably the worst thing that could have happened, because it gave us all this hope that we were going to go and actually score a goal at Wembley, which we've not done for something like 30 years. So, but yeah, it was disappointing. I don't think we were really poor. I didn't think Southampton were very good either, but they took the chance well, limited us, and unfortunately, another year in the Championship for my beloved White.
You're going to be favourites, even with the three that are coming down. You're still favourites to go back up next year, aren't you? I think.
Yeah, bookies so far have says that we are favourites to go up. That's because they haven't seen the amount of players that we're going to have to sell in summer. So it might change by July when transfer window's back open again. But we've got good nucleus of a squad. I mean, you don't get 90 points with, like I say, like we stuttered quite a lot towards the back end, but you don't accumulate 90 points in Championship without actually having something about you.
Are they still having to?
Go on. So it could easily be the same. It could have been the same situation if Ipswich hadn't have just had the year that they'd had.
Oh yeah,
we were going to have that flip flop thing of the three that went up came back down, and the three that went down were going back up. I mean, it's just Ipswich just threw that spanner in the works there and had a ridiculously good season under McKenna. But yeah, I mean, the points that Leeds got to finish in third is just ridiculous, really.
Yeah, I think I can't remember the exact stat, but I think it's something like I think Sunderland did similar. They got like 90 odd points a few years back, and then lost in playoff final as well. They finished third, but it's like normally like 9 times out of 10, 90 points gets you up automatically. But it just so happens that obviously Leicester had that amazing start at the beginning, and then Ipswich seemed to have a blip, and we were like, "Go on, tractor boys, you're falling," and then they just seemed to like another little shot in the arm. And to be fair, football fans can be bitter, but you got to like, doff the cap to Ipswich, on their budget, and the fact that they're basically a squad of League One players with a couple of little additions, they fully deserve to go up. They were, even though we beat them home and away, and if Pilgrim's lurking in comments, we beat them 4-0 at home as well. So.
Oh dear, Kieran McKenna did well, and the talk about him since Ipswich's promotion has been pretty incredible. I mean, he's been associated with some big jobs. Obviously, he's just signed an extended contract with Ipswich now, but he must have been only that far away from the Bayern Munich job.
I'm glad he stayed with them, to be honest, because I think he's obviously got some. He's obviously knows what he's doing, but I'd have felt a bit bad for Ipswich if he'd have just got him up and then like dumped him in first season. I mean, obviously getting touted by like to Chelsea and that red lot from over the Pennines.
We don't talk about them.
Must be.
I'm not sure how much we really did. It was even a thing. I'm not sure as a United fan. I don't think it was even a thing. Yeah.
Agents wanted to pump up his
Yeah,
his
yeah.
contract with them. I mean, he'll have a release clause in there now, I'd imagine as well. 10 million or so. But like you say, he could get relegated with 10 points, and Dortmund might come in for him like they did with. That seems to be the thing now. Fail miserably and get one of the biggest jobs in Europe.
What do you make of that? I mean, it's one of the strangest appointments, I think, are based on the prior year's kind of performance, to just get one of the top jobs in European football. It's not even just in the the English league. It's probably one of the top 5 jobs in the whole of Europe.
Oh, definitely. I mean, some at Talk on like things like Talk Sport and stuff was saying um, company style will work better with better players, but surely as a good coach, it's to actually play a style that suits your squad. You cut your cloth accordingly. I'm pretty sure that Natalie Bromley will have a lot to say about the matter, with it
Well,
being
she was on Talksport this week, and did have a lot to say about it, and then I think got quite a lot of abuse on social media afterwards for her view, which I think was very much one of, she felt that he owed the club, a little bit more loyalty, on the basis that they stuck by him, and to just jump ship. But others were saying, well, how do you turn down Bayern Munich? So I can see both sides of that argument. I don't think there's a right or a wrong. There can actually be two rights with it. But
I think a lot of Burnley fans were calling for his head, though, right, before the end of the season. So difficult. I mean, I don't see how the manager could stay under those circumstances. But I think Matt is also right. He didn't show the ability to, change or base his next team selection or format based on what was happening around him. I mean, he just did the same thing. It was deja vu every Saturday, right?
it seemed that way. I mean, ironically, our Bielsa were very similar, but he actually managed to make it work for us. I mean, his philosophy was if Plan A doesn't work, do Plan A better. And he actually turned obviously a bunch of championship plodders into
Yeah, he
a
did.
team that finished ninth, and then obviously wheels fell off, injuries, and God knows
Yeah.
what else. But I never saw out from company that it changed. Like got a couple of friends who were Burnley fans, and they were frustrated by trying to make players playing styles that they weren't capable of doing. And that to me, if you that's just like stupidity basically. But he's obviously a natural born winner. He's won everything in the game. As a player, so he knows what he's doing. He must give a good interview. And
Yeah.
he's played for Pep, and I think nowadays, if you've got any sort of bloodline to Pep, you're basically golden for the rest of your career,
Yeah,
aren't you? So
I suppose it's easily forgotten, but in his first year with Burnley, he did play some fantastic football in the Championship to win it. It probably surprised a lot of people the type of football they ended up playing that season, because the Championship's notoriously a physical, just a tough league. So to have turned that team into that from the typical Dyche team previously. I mean, he's probably still dining out on that in Germany, I'd have assumed. They've seen the potential of what he can do with good players in a good league. But you'd have to say, Bayern Munich, despite reaching the Champions League semi-finals, and having dominated in Germany for so long, the Bundesliga is now looking like a tough league, what with Dortmund and Hamburg and Leverkusen in particular. I mean, there's some top teams in the Bundesliga now.
everyone likes to follow a different team. Dortmund's always been a team that I like to follow on from Germany. I don't support them in any way, but it's always the first team I look out for in the results. Just because when I was a kid growing up playing football, everybody supported Bayern Munich because they obviously they won everything. But yeah, it's looking decent. I think the top previously you basically had Dortmund and Munich, and then everyone else was scrapping, and then you had some teams that were like like basically like a farmers league towards bottom end.
Yeah,
But it seems
yeah.
to be getting stronger from like you've obviously still got your top two, but and Leverkusen have come from bloody nowhere this year and just been absolutely phenomenal. And you've got a lot of tougher teams. So, but I think it also does say something that when Eric Dyer can go to Bayern Munich and be a standout player, it tells you something about the overall standard of the league. And
Yeah.
obviously, Kane banging in like nearly 50 goals. I mean, I know he's a terrific striker, but scoring that many goals, I reckon if we put our boots on and got fit, we'd probably get 7 or 8 if playing in that Munich team.
So Steve is saying that is the Harry Kane effect. Please let Liverpool buy Harry Kane. You'd have to sort of feel a bit for Harry Kane. He's gone to Munich. He scored just a lot of goals. Has played well. Hasn't won a trophy, which seemed almost impossible. From his decision to join, it seemed almost impossible that he couldn't win a trophy. And now he finds himself being managed by the manager who's just taken Burnley down. What an insane twist of fate. Where does he go next?
I think he'll be top scorer next year in Bundesliga by a long shot.
Yeah.
I think you'll find Munich are going to throw a lot of money at recruitment this year, just because I think again the stat eludes me, but it's like the first trophyless season in some absolutely ridiculous length of time, because they're never less than second, are they? And they're always in finals of each cup and stuff like that. And they've just basically, I think they wanted rid of Tuchel, and they just didn't want to pull trigger or have anyone to pull in. So I think he'll give him another season. I don't see where he'd come in Premier League, because they'll still want 100 million for him, if he did want to come back. And he's 30, he must be 30 now, and I think he'll just stay up there and up to win Bundesliga.
Yeah, Steve reckons he's going to end up at Wrexham.
You never know if their owners get the checkbooks out.
You can never tell.
Or offer him a role in a new Marvel film or something.
Absolutely. There could be some great names associated with this character, I'm sure. Euros coming up, Matt. You excited?
Partly excited, but obviously I just got a feeling it's going to be the same. Sail through the group, falter against the first big team that you come against, which looks like it's probably going to be France, who, if you take away the amount of money that British people have backed on England, are going to be the clear favourites to win over in Germany. So I find it difficult to get proper G'd up for the group stages, but as soon as I get out with that, I'm like, it's coming home. Get me England scarf out. Go to
go to Box Park somewhere.
Yeah, get yourself down to the pub and get it watched, and then it's just like, I've had this, since World Cup 1990. I know how this plays out. It's like me with Leeds. I've been with Leeds since '91, and because my two kids at Wembley were like buzzing, and I'm just like, I were excited, but I'm just like, I know how this ends. I've had 30 odd years of this.
First game, World Cup 1990, Liverpool, England won, Ireland won. Where was it? Cagliari or somewhere? It was tough. What do you think, Leigh? I mean, obviously we're both sad. No Irish teams, no Wales over there. Can England do it this year? Oh, they've got the talent, certainly.
I think they can. I mean, I think they've got the player of the year in La Liga. They've got the player of the year in the English Premier League. So that in Foden and Bellingham, they've got Kane, one of the top scorers in Europe this year. So goals wise, and then you start throwing in the likes of Saka into that mix as well. They really do. The issue is how you get them all to play together and get the best out of them all. That's going to be the problem. But actually, I think on paper, I don't really. I suppose England's weak links at the moment is probably left back. Simply the fact that actually they don't really have anyone there. Shaw's made the squad, but he's not played for United since the middle of February. But ultimately, if he's fit, it may just work in England's favour, because if actually he genuinely is fit, you have got a quality left back there. There's no denying that. But I mean, they've got all the makings of it, and I think on the day, and it's probably overdue. I think with this team, it kind of feels like it's going to happen at some point. I know Matt's a bit more of a pessimist about it as an England supporter over the years, but it feels like it's probably due. And I think this team really is, capable of doing it. They've got their feet on the ground, and so why not? It's going to be a good tournament anyway. I think it's going to be interesting. As you say, France versus be interesting to see what the likes of Spain and Germany are going to be squad wise, as what they could be. And I think there'll be a couple of dark horses in there as well that actually we won't expect that actually will have a really really good tournament.
Yeah.
So I'm quite looking forward to it.
The only thing about England is I always slightly feel they sometimes can be disadvantaged by having a weak group, and I think they have a weak group again this time. They got Slovakia, Slovenia, Derby County. I am not sure, but it's like they're not. They're sort of, the press will immediately assume that England will walk the group. Expectation is high, which is a bit of a false economy because each and every one of these countries are going to be tough to beat in Germany, right? There'll be no easy games there. I mean, that's almost certain. The groups can be quite a slog. And sometimes, if you do slog your way through it, it can be seen as a real disappointment and the country is suddenly on your back a bit. Everybody's, talking about Southgate negatively, blah, blah, blah. Whereas if you come up against, one or two strong countries, certainly perceived strong countries in those group stages, sort of there's nothing to lose, really. You perform well against them and suddenly everybody's right behind you. Who do England have? Is it Slovakia, Slovenia and Croatia? Is that right?
I'm not sure. I'll just have a quick look now. We've definitely got...
We're all scouring the internet now to find out who it is. Yeah.
I do have the app here.
We've got one that begins with S.
It's Slovenia, Denmark, and Serbia.
Okay, that was pretty close. Are you sure Derby aren't in there?
You were close, yeah, with Denmark, yeah. Derby is basically a combination of Denmark and Serbia, so you can kind of
Derby,
yeah.
Derby County, yeah. I mean, it's a pretty, it's not a particularly exciting group. You look at France's group; they've got the Netherlands. You get a sense that team will be fully motivated to play the Netherlands, which can't be a bad thing in the group stage to have your team up and feeling, right, we need to perform in this one. Whereas England against Denmark, against Slovenia, you're sort of thinking, well, they don't necessarily need to be on top of their game to win those. But actually...
But we are also this situation where we're 6 groups, aren't we? So it's top 2 plus the best 4 third place, which means basically you've got to be pretty crap not to be getting through. You can even afford a blip in the group stages here, can't you? And you're pretty much going to get through. Win one game, win one of your 3 is going to see you through, probably.
Yeah, 3 points.
I think the problem with England's group, when you say with a weaker opposition, is they're just all 3, and probably including Denmark, are just going to sit back, defend, and hope for on a counter attack or a set piece. You'll probably get it quite a lot as a Liverpool fan because you've got such a wealth of attacking talent. Teams don't come at you unless they're good, like your Man Cities and your Arsenals, and you're relying on a mistake from them or a bit of brilliance. I mean, I think people like Foden, I think he's going to be my player at tournament. He's a phenomenal little player, but it's going to be quite difficult. I hate the word low block that everybody uses, but that's basically what they'll do. So Serbia will not attack us once in that group stage. They'll just hope to get a free kick on edge of box, hopefully get a corner at some point, which is probably why they chose to pick Bosnia to play tomorrow and then Iceland a couple of days later, because they're 2 teams that are going to be defensively strong, open to hit you. And I think he's going to give a few players a chance, to see. He's obviously got to whittle his squad down. Like, right, this is what you're going to be up against in group stages. Which one of you lot's going to step up and produce that? Like Cole Palmer or somebody like that. And then it's just hopefully his defence is going to be strong enough, and Southgate will actually be positive enough if we do face a France or a Netherlands or somebody like that to actually go at them, because we've got probably the best front 4, front 5 in the competition. But if you don't play a style that suits them, you might as well have Messi, Ronaldo, Mbappe. Yeah. If you're just going to pass it sideways and play with 2 defensive midfielders and Harry Maguire, then you're asking for trouble.
Do you think, does Trent get a game?
I think he might play tomorrow. They were saying that I was listening to Talk Sport when I was dropping my young'un off this afternoon, and he's got a few injuries at centre back and a few injuries that he wants players who have a rest who have played in like the cup final and stuff.
Yeah,
And
but I mean more. Obviously, you know, maybe the best passer in the English squad, quite possibly. But can you see, you know, where would you put him in a last 16 game against France, or, you know, does he does he play? He doesn't go in at right back, that's for sure. I mean, does he get a game at all?
I think he's going to go Rice as a holding midfielder with a bit of more license to go forward, and the young Man United guy, is it Manu?
Yeah, he's done well. He's had a great season.
Yeah.
I think he's going to give him a good, unless something goes seriously wrong in these 2 warm-up games. I think that'll, for a lot of time, that'll be his 2 starting, because he can get forward as well. Can that Manu as well? Can't he? He's a bit of a wild card, but
do you think he'll play him
like
in the Euros though? I mean, in some of the, I mean, maybe he sees how he plays in the group games, give him a couple of group games, but he's just been called into the squad. Is that right? Has he been capped at all yet?
Yeah, well, he played in a couple of the friendlies. He was man of the match in his first game for England. It played phenomenally well.
So you think he could get into the 11, Leigh?
Under pressure for United this season, and we've had a shocking season, but when it came down to it, take the cup final, for example, wasn't wanting at all. And I think sometimes you just have players which they can just do it. You know, Bellingham is a perfect example of that. You know, you forget how young Bellingham is, and just is capable of doing it at the highest level without needing, you know, he's just got that about him. Some other players, sometimes it takes a little bit longer. Foden has taken a little bit longer for him to get there. But some players just at 18, 19 can just do it. And I don't think you have to worry about it.
It's the old Fergie thing, isn't it? If they're good enough, they're old enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very much so. For anyone that's worrying about Dan, because we did just lose him as he was heading towards Paris. He's messaged to say that the whole Wi-Fi system crashed, so everyone's having issues. So not a problem at all. Switching it back to poker a little bit. I don't know whether you saw this week, Des, but Grosvenor put up a post about if they were to start a GUKPT Hall of Fame, who would be your first 3 picks in it? Now, obviously, GUKPT started around the same time that the APAT started, originally by Jonathan Rabb. And I saw Jonathan posting actually as well when he left Grosvenor in 2010. I think he said he never would have thought that it would still be running 14 years later, but it is and going strong. Obviously, Matt, you've seen it from the off and to where it is today, where it just seems growing in strength to strength. Did you have any thoughts on? I saw you like my picks, but did you have any thoughts on who you think would be in that kind of the talking for that Hall of Fame, whether a player or anyone's been involved with it all?
Well, basically, my 3 picks that you picked. So
really? Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
basically was yes. So yeah, you can't deny those 3 guys that have like you say, the longevity of something like this is people like Rutter, who's still going along, manages to win his second title like something like 10 years apart or something, or maybe a little bit longer. And people like obviously Matt Devonport's just. I think he sold his soul to Devil or something, because that guy's ridiculous.
I didn't realise, I'll be honest, I didn't realise how long Matt had been playing, because I only kind of really came, let's say, aware of him or on my radar maybe in the last 3-4 years or so, where really is absolutely smashing the volume on there and winning big. But actually, his first GUKPT cash was back in sort of 2010, 2012, something like that, I think it was.
Yeah, he's been around for years. I mean, I remember writing an article when PokerNews had a UK site, a UK subdomain, and I'd wrote an article about him, and he messaged me on Facebook saying, "Oh, thanks for write up. I'm just like a normal guy trying to grind a little bit." And I think his power is that he's like an unassuming character. He just looks like a normal, everyday, bloke who's playing poker. I mean, I've never actually watched him play, but whatever he does, it works.
Yeah.
And now his missus is getting in on act as well.
Sinead, right?
Yeah,
she seems to be a very strong player.
I joked with the Tower and Andy Booth when I was with them over in Dublin at Easter. I said, do they just pack Matt Davenport and Cal up with the rest of the streaming kit and just move them from venue to venue? I mean, it just got to that point where actually they just kind of keep in the van at the back because they pretty much seem to turn up for everything. My third pick on that. So you mentioned Stu Rutter and Matt Davenport. My third pick was Jeff Kimber. Was my third one, who I know Jeff doesn't play as much at the moment. Actually, I was only chatting to him a couple of months ago, and he just said, he's still involved in poker, but yeah, found the kind of the grind of the live events. Just didn't really suit. But
he's doing stuff for WPT Global, I think. And he's doing some media stuff for them. I think you got to give a shout to Thuey as well, Julian Thew.
Yeah,
he doesn't really play these days, but he smashed things up. In Tor's infancy, I'm pretty sure
back in the day.
3.
Yeah,
I think he might. I think he's got 3 titles. Like Simon says there, Trig's a bit of a ledge in British circles. There's a lot of people who.
Who's Dave Smith, the other one that Simon's mentioned there? I don't recognise the name. Maybe I should know Dave Smith. Simon's very knowledgeable on this kind of stuff, so I'm assuming he's. Yeah, you go. I think you're going back quite some time there with those 3 in particular. I mean, Trig's been around for quite a while, despite you probably could still think of him as one of the young guns, but he's been around a while.
He's jacked it in now, though. I think, and he
has he?
Yeah, he's got a normal job. He said he's still going to play, but he's working in some sort of recruitment, helping disadvantaged people get like building jobs in building trade and stuff. And he seems to be a lot happier with. So obviously he didn't just play poker. He's a gambler as well with horses and stuff. And I think that sometimes takes a little bit of. It's a little bit soul destroying when you're just basically lying.
Yeah, it's interesting how you do see the players that when I first got in playing poker, the youngsters kind of coming through that were absolutely smashing it. And you hear some of them they then went off and invested in businesses that all that then wasn't successful, and sort of so the money they'd made in poker just got lost in business or whatever, and then they're back playing again, but then they've had families and got on and saying it's great. A poker player just went and got a regular job. Yeah, it's like a lot of us that play poker have got a regular job in the first place, and poker's just a bit of fun. Yeah,
it's mad seeing some of these players who were, when I first started in industry, like 2010-ish, and like married with kids and stuff, and you're just like, you were one at Young Guns, they all had blogs and stuff like that, and you see them becoming, grown-ups, I suppose, they've all matured from just traveling circuit non-stop and still got the dipping their toes in, but yeah,
so do you think Matt? Do you think there are many? Do you think there are many that have actually that poker for them that they made it? So they were made from the money that they earned out of poker in the early days and used it sensibly and made or is that not really a thing? Because it's the line we always use on the show when you say, "Oh, well, they won that amount," and then Simon Lawler's normally first in with, "Yeah, but how much did they lose?" Kind of thing. And so you never really know because we only ever report the winnings, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, someone like Chidwick who's got nearly 60 million in cashes, even if he's only got 10% of himself, he's still a very rich man, isn't he? But he's like an anomaly to this. He's a bit of a freak, but then I suppose it's like what do you count as made it? It's like if you manage to win enough to buy a house when you're 22 and you're 30 now, and you've got no mortgage, then that gives you a lot of leeway to go and do whatever you want, doesn't it? It's like my rent here where I live's astronomical. If somebody could pay that off for me, I could go part time with PokerNews if I wanted, kind of thing, because that takes the big thing away. But I think some of it, I don't know. A lot of people, especially poker players, they're happy to say like what the winnings are, but they don't want. A lot of them don't actually, like you say, divulge what they had. Because I think Dominic Nietzsche won the Venom on ACR the other week, and they got something like, I can't remember what it was, for argument's sake, 1.7 million. And he went, that was my biggest score. Well, he won 4 million when he won big little one for one drop or whatever it was. So he obviously sold a huge part of himself for that. So because there's so many little dealings that go on between these players, you know, they might win 1 million, but then they might only be coming home with, say, only 300,000-400,000 after swaps and, you know, backing deals that they've got to, you know, buy themselves out of and stuff. So, but there's some very intelligent players who I imagine have gone on to stuff like people that you don't read about anymore, like Rupert Elder. It's like you don't really hear
Yeah,
about him anymore.
true.
But just from talking to him when he used to play a lot, he's very, very intelligent. So you'd imagine he's been clever with his money, or he's got, you know, used like the analytical skills from poker and things like that to go on to other things. And then obviously you've got people like Mike McDonald, who known as Timex, the young American
Yeah,
lad.
Yeah.
yeah.
He's heavily involved in crypto and stuff at the moment, and he's very switched on. So I imagine that they've used that and the contacts within poker to not have to play anymore, really.
So poker
Yeah, I
can
would
be, it
agree.
can be a career, can't it? It's just you've just got to be sensible and not get wrapped up in it all when it's going well, and yeah, use your money wisely, I guess, is the is the word. Be interested to see if they do. I'm guessing Grosvenor, if they have put up this thing about Hall of Fame, it's not just been put up there for fun. I'm assuming it is
Nah, they're
something
going
they
to
are
do it.
genuinely thinking of doing. And certainly, if as much as it was interesting talking about the players, there are people like the likes of Jonathan Rabb that set it up in the first place and kind of came up with the concept. The likes of the Tower that have been there pretty much from the off, and other people in the background as well. I saw somebody mentioned Dina got mentioned as well, and you know
Yeah, I'm
some
going
of
to
the
say
stuff that
someone
have
like
pretty much been,
Dina.
yeah, that have been there all you know all throughout, just making the whole thing work. I think because I think a lot of the tournament directors and stuff have kind of come and gone in that tour. There's not really been, you know, anyone that's been consistently there for any.
Russell Tamplin ran it for many years.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah,
but it'd be
before
interesting to
moving
see
on.
whether from because the Hall of Fame isn't just about players, because poker doesn't work without without a whole plethora of people getting involved. But yeah, be interested to see whether they do put that out there. I've got a feeling that is gonna happen. And as far as the UK poker scene goes, Matt, it's just growing from strength to strength. There just seems to be tournaments absolutely everywhere, and all the major tours are back in the UK one way or another. Poker Stars are back with the UK APT. They're off doing a joint thing in Malaga, aren't they? I think in a few weeks' time. Yeah, we've got the WPT back here now. Dust Till Dawn have brought the WSOP circuit into the UK. It feels like really it's the live arena is just growing.
So as soon as COVID finished and all lockdowns, the attendance seemed to explode. I think so many people wanted to just get back out there that there was that initial surge in popularity of all the live tours, and it just seems to have stayed quite high. I mean, the GUKPT has been putting up some pretty impressive figures, you know, especially for its main events. Um, and it's lower buying, like they do the 300 mini main or midi main, whichever it is. That seems the 250 to 1,000 seems to be really, really booming at the moment because it's kind of small enough for people to take a shot or satellite in, but it's still interesting enough for, like, you know, your seasoned grinders to get involved because it's going to be, you know, a high five-figure top prize. I know 888 have started a little tour. I think it's had about 4 legs so far. That's in association with partnership with Grosvenor. That seems to be doing okay. Main events more than their little side events, but they're trying to do every single stop's the same, so it follows the same format. So you'll have like $120 opener, no matter whether you play in Edinburgh or if you play in Leeds or if you play in
Yeah.
Manchester. It follows the same format. Um, I think the smaller sites that have got them, their downside is they don't have the big online presence to force, you know, 50 qualifiers for each one, like somebody like Stars or GG can do. Although I'd wrote an article the other day that Grosvenor have partnered with Poker Stars for the upcoming Goliath, and they're running satellites for the Goliath on Stars now. So I don't know how the inner workings of that have gone, but that should help that tournament in particular grow. That's grown every single year since its launch. It's like it's a freak. It's a
Yeah.
complete freak. Is that tournament?
It'll be really
I think,
interesting
to
to
be
see
honest,
what those numbers are this year.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've got a feeling in a way, they want the numbers to drop, but they want the prize pool to still grow. So hence the reason why they've changed the buy-ins, because actually there is a certain capacity issue for the day two in that Goliath. They are maxed out what they're doing. So I think the slight increased price point bringing stars in is aimed at possibly they might not beat the runners or the entries. They want to actually, but they want to keep the prize pool up. So it'll be interesting to see how that does, as Des says, how that does play out. Now, of course, with everybody heading over to Vegas, it does mean that the UK scene is a little bit quieter in these coming months. But those savvy players that know this is happening are targeting events in the UK. Now, I know for a fact Matt is one of those. He's got his eye on an event in a couple of weeks' time, pretty much on his doorstep, because APAT is heading to Leeds. Are you actually going to play it, Matt? You said you were considering it. Is it going to happen?
I'm probably going to play day 1A, which is a Friday, and then get and then obviously day two. Will day two be Sunday? I think, is it?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Obviously, being optimistic that it doesn't affect kids and stuff like that. Then so, but yeah, I've never, believe it or not, never played an APAT event. So in all this time,
really,
wow. I've not really played overly much live poker, because when I was properly into my poker, it was a time when my eldest lad, who was 20, he was 21 last week. He were only a little and had a few problems with his mum seeing him and stuff. So I couldn't really break off on weekends to go play poker, because it just wasn't worth the hassle. And then as I got older, it was just like, now I just don't bother doing it. But now that my kids are a bit older, and like my youngest's now 15, and he don't half the time don't want to hang out with his old dad. He only wants to when he just wants when football's on or when he's skint. So it's freed up a little bit more time to start looking at some live poker. Obviously, I went to Vegas. I won a big package for WPT in Vegas last December, and really loved playing in that, even though I didn't make day two. So what better way to pop my APAT cherry than winning the one that's in Leeds?
That's awesome. That's great news. Oh, the best of luck with it, Matt. Crikey. Playing your first APAT. That's you'll enjoy that, Matt. Really hope you do.
Well, I've been around when you've had events and stuff, because obviously the biggest one that I remember was down at Wembley Stadium. You know, when you jumped when you were on board with the ISPT guys. You know,
that's right.
That were quite a biggie. So I've seen it in action, and obviously done little write-ups about the worlds and things like that. And it'd be good to actually get in there. Maybe I'll get into some of your live updates from Tom at some point.
That could be cool.
Well, make sure you get included in that stuff. Yeah, the Wembley event was nuts, wasn't it? I mean, that was just a bonkers thing. Probably never to be repeated. Was that 10 years ago?
Yeah,
2013, yeah.
2013, so
11, 11 years ago. Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous that even happened. And I mean, the fact that we were all there and got to experience it, I think it's just one of those you just kind of go, yeah. Even when you try and explain it to people now, you know, I've tried to explain the inflatable tent thing to people, and they're just like, what? It doesn't make any sense. No, it was like huge inflatable tents, and they were all playing poker underneath them, and one collapsed late one night, and they were propping it out with sticks, and like what?
Yeah, I think the actual main event of that, it massively overlaid, didn't it? I think Rob Young jumped in and rescued it, because it wasn't going to happen, and then I think he damaged his bankroll a little bit that weekend. But
he did a fantastic job in stepping in. I do recall on the Sunday night that the whole thing finished. I say the whole thing finished. It might not have finished on the Sunday night. You would know better, Leigh, because you went deep in the main. But there was a surreal moment. Certainly the APAT event had finished, of being stood on the pitch of Wembley, looking up at the giant scoreboard, empty stadium other than the poker players who were either on the pitch or you know, like a stream of ants up and down to the Poker Media Centre or whatever, but being stood on the pitch looking up at the giant scoreboard and watching Brazil and England, who were playing in Brazil, right smack in the middle of Wembley Stadium. It was just, It's like, this is mad.
They actually once the APAT event had finished, not that it was because the APAT event finished, but then the final few days of that were moved up into one of the one of the rooms, one of the suites. So the rest of it was played out up there. I think if I remember rightly, I think they guaranteed $1 million to the winner, Matt. I think that's what they ended up doing. Now I finished about 16th, and they ended up chopping it on it was a final table of 6, and they ended up doing a deal because the money then for those 6 was just ridiculous. And basically, I think I won about 10K or something like that. But basically, everyone on the final table locked up at 6 figures. Because
I've just pulled it up now. What company you were in there? So Leigh finished 16th, and then just above him, the legendary Praz Banzi, Devilfish, Freddie Deeb, people like that. Just below him, and it was crazy because I remember the Polish guy that won. I think he got 400 and odd K, but like it was a 6-way deal at the end, and it was just like because the difference in prize pools. Because I think, like it says here, 7th got 52K, and then first we're going to get $1 million. So obviously they were quite smart people, and they just went, you know what, we're just going to chop this.
Oh yeah, crikey!
It was just a no-brainer to do, which is a bit gutting because it was a lot of runners. How many runners was in that in total there, Matt?
761. It was just over 2.6 million euros.
Yeah, but to have that guarantee up top was the killer. So really, it did mean that it was super top heavy, the payout on it. But well done to those that that did it. It's a great experience for me. It was the knock-on effect that a year later I had a bit of a bigger win. But it was kind of what happened that day when when I bust that. And I still to this day remember the Devilfish calling the hand, Nick Hicks's hand, before I flipped it over because I hadn't even thought, just the slight slow motion thing going through your head as he's calling what Nick must have, and I'm like, oh shit, yeah.
Oh no.
yeah. I had pocket kings and hit a king on the river, and all I could think was, I'm scooping all of this, but actually Nick had made a straight, and I hadn't even contemplated, and it did kind of trigger me to go, I need to get a bit more switched on with this game, and actually pay attention to it more. And so then went on, did some training. Funnily enough, the similar training that we've got available for free on the site now, because APAT has we have all of Nick Wealthall's training videos and stuff. So if you want to check some of those out, go on to Poker Raffles. There's a free draw, and you basically get 36 of the videos. So that's the stuff that I went on and started looking at from later on in that year, and then a year later. Which would be about 10 years ago this summer, had a pretty decent win. So check those videos out if you want. For free, if you haven't tried them out on Poker Raffles, there's a free draw, and you can don't need to pay anything. Just buy a ticket, and you'll be a winner, and you'll get 36 training videos.
I know what you mean.
I wasn't even going to plug that, Des. How about that?
That's very organic, very natural.
I know what you mean when you say that. When it triggered you to take like a step back and think a little bit more about what was going on, because like I say, I played in the 10K WPT thing in December, which is way out of my comfort zone. I mean, I'm a Yorkshireman. If I had a net worth of 100 million, I won't be spending 10,000 on a tournament.
Right.
But even though there weren't any so-called like superstars on my table, there was some very, very good players, and they just don't make mistakes. They apply pressure when they need to, and it's like they have you second guessing every single thing that you do, and you can see why they do play 10Ks. Week in, week out. I learned so much from losing to them that it just seemed like, well, when I start playing like $10 and $20 games, if just be like them, it should be relatively easy. That's the thinking. I mean, I haven't played since Vegas, ironically. But it was a bit of an eye-opening experience to watch some of these guys just be completely relentless and know exactly where they are at all times, and
machines.
There's little robots. Bless them.
How do you see that WPT in December, Matt? Because a lot of players, the feedback is that they love it more than probably the series. I think the series is always going to be the pinnacle for players, but the WPT seem to have found a really nice fit for that in December, and it seems to be kind of growing and growing year on year.
Yeah, I think it missed the guarantee this year, because obviously they had EPT Prague and then WSOP threw a spanner in works and went to Bahamas at the same time.
Mm.
Um, but a lot of players actually left the Bahamas, some of the big high stakes events, to go and play in the WPT one. So they played the main, and then there were a few events towards the back end of the WSOP Paradise where they jumped ship and made their way to Vegas. It's really well run. I mean, I love Matt Savage anyway. He's another one who, he's a legendary figure in game, and it's his baby, and everything just works so well. WPT's been around, what, 20 odd years, probably maybe a little bit more, and it's a well-oiled machine. But it just seemed a lot with them doing their free-to-play site, that Club WPT, which is big in US, like the
That's right, yeah.
subscription model, and a few other little things. It had a nice little mixture of normal guys and qualifiers, and like some pub team players were in there, and it was just like it were a good vibe. I really enjoyed it. Way out of my depth, lasted 9 levels, and just a good feel about the place, and the winds are beautiful. I'd never, even though I've obviously been to Vegas a couple of times, the wind's spectacular. It's absolutely beautiful in there, and if you can win like a little package for something like that, and like I did, take the missus with you, it's like pre-Christmas holiday, you're in Vegas, you've got a chance to, a min cash is 25K or something, that was the goal, you know, and then I enjoyed 5 nights at the Win, which I probably wouldn't pay for off my own back, and just enjoyed being in Vegas. So, but yeah, it's good. It'd be nice to see him not have to compete with EPT and have to compete with WSOP. There were a little spell a few years ago where EPT and WPT Europe piggybacked off each other. So they did like Prague December 1st till 10th, and then WPT did 11th till 20th. It'd be good to see if they could get a bit more collaboration there and get bigger fields for both sets of things. Have like maybe a month-long festival rather than a 2-week one where you've got to fly everywhere. Because it's the players that suffer at the end of the day. People want to play for a bracelet, but they also want to play for something that's got, a 15 million live guarantee, which is unheard of. And you can only be, unless you are top tier, or you're a sponsored pro. You've got to just pick one and go for one, aren't you? There's not many of us who watch watch this show who can do it. EPT Prague main event, fly to Bahamas, flick in a couple of tournaments, and then go to Vegas. It's just not possible or plausible for 99% of poker community. So everybody suffers.
Yeah, no, you're playing for the dream, aren't you? So it's as you say, if you can win a package and get to go and experience something, that's great. But you're not going to be jumping from one to t'other. It's pretty much you're going to pick one that you're going to try and satellite in for, give it a bit of a go, and if you do, great. If you don't, well, okay, you sat at home watching everybody else playing. But it's for most players, that's how it is, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. You think? I don't know. The problem is with the Bahamas one as well. Is like the Bahamas is notoriously expensive. I mean, Vegas were eye-opening because I ain't been for 10 years or 9 years, and that has got super expensive too. But if I had to choose one, I'd always go with WPT in Vegas. Just because it's Vegas, it's our mecca, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's where we all
Yeah.
where we all.
And Vegas is lovely. That time of year, Vegas is great. I'd only ever been in the summer, but last year I went for in November for the F1, and I loved Vegas in the fall. It's just obviously the temperatures dropped, and it isn't as busy, but still there's everything to do that there is in the summer. Just with it's dialed down just a little bit, which I thoroughly enjoyed. I found it quite a chill place to be for sort of 10 days, and as you say, just before Christmas as well. All the hotels have got their Christmas kind of decorations up and things going on. It's got a real nice vibe to it.
Fewer shooters around, which is always a good thing at Christmas. busy doing other stuff. Now we very recently sent a couple of players to Vegas, right? They're going to be going off this summer to play Colossus on a package. Steve's out there and it says, what does Matt think about poker raffles? So trying to get players to nice locations for a relatively small amount of money, Matt. What do you think? You've won a Leeds package, right?
I don't want a Leeds package.
Okay, I thought you won an APAT Leeds. APAT Leeds. APAT Leeds.
No.
I thought Matt had won an APAT Leeds a couple of weeks back.
I thought for a second, hang on, he's giving one away. No,
you're actually paying to play.
Do you know there are two Matt Pitts on poker raffles? I think a couple of weeks ago we might well have said, that'll be Matt Pitt, but actually there is more than one Matt Pitt that's on plays on poker
very
raffles.
Cool.
We've worked out. So yeah,
that must be Bat Matt then.
We've had that conversation. Yeah,
we're going to slowly take over the poker world. Just one map at a time. No, I think it's a really, really good idea. It's one of those where it's like, especially if you don't have time to try it or the funds to like sit and grind even like $5 satellites for an upcoming event or something. Yourself, Facebook's full of people raffling, doing bonus ball raffles and things like that. And it's pretty cool to actually have poker prizes that, like you say, I saw you give the guy won a package to Malta today, for a couple of quid, and that's something that he wouldn't have ordinarily probably been able to, do it. But now he's flying off to Med, a little bit of sun, and if I remember,
fantastic, isn't it?
If I heard it rightly, literally bought a ticket like an hour before deadline or something.
Yeah. He was like quarter to seven tonight. There was only probably about 30 tickets left, something like that, and decided to buy one. Yeah, and a fiver has got him a fiver's got him 500 quid of expenses plus then entry into the grand event, which is huge. It's like over €500,000 guarantee, not guarantee, but in the prize pool, so huge.
It's something like that for a fiver, I mean, I stuck a fiver on Archie Gray scoring in Wembley final against Southampton at 14-1. So it's for stuff like that. It's an affordable way just to have. It's like buying a scratch card or a lottery ticket, isn't it? And it's I really enjoy the concept of it. It's pretty good, and like you say, the prizes are all. People are going to say like, oh, why don't you have like a WSOP main event one? But it's like it's packages and prizes that the people who are entering, they'll probably actually have a chance to actually win as well, or go deep in, So like you went with a ticket to a €500 tournament, you've got more chance then of going over there, even if you just min cash, coming back completely free holiday, for however many days it goes on. So it's an accessible prize, and it's a realistic prize as well. So
a good experience.
We would love to send players to the main event, and ultimately that may be something we do. I think. Our Vegas packages, we've got two people heading over there and playing that. Stephen and Dwayne are heading over this month to play that. They've got entry into the Colossus whilst they're over in Vegas. They've got 7 nights hotel on the Strip. They've got their flights from London. We're even given return flights, so we're going to bring them back as well, which I think is very good
if
of us.
They come.
And they've got about $600 odd of spending money as well. And they were £5 tickets. That's
ridiculous to be fair.
So basically, it's a great, it's a great holiday. It's a holiday if nothing else. If you don't want to play any other poker, if you just go out there and just play the Colossus and just go and have 7 days in Vegas, you can't go wrong, really.
I'm right in saying, Leigh, we did because we're creative, Matt, if nothing else in 17 years, occasionally we're creative. We did a super satellite into that Colossus draw. So the Colossus draw was £5 a ticket. So the super satellite was £2 a ticket, and 7 people would win somewhere between £100 and £250 worth of entry tickets into the Colossus draw, right? So Dwayne, bought a few super satellite tickets, but essentially one of his £2 tickets won into the main draw. He won £250 worth of tickets into the main draw. One of those tickets actually won him the package to go to Vegas.
So he won his Vegas package from £2.
It's just fantastic. Great story.
See, this shit writes itself, doesn't it?
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
All that we, no pressure, like, all that we need now is for Dwayne to go out and win the event. Then you've got a story.
Yeah, well, we've done over sort of 40 winners so far, and to be fair, we've had a number of people cash.
Loads of cashes.
We've had loads of kind of min cashes and people turning because as you said with the WPT package, a min cash is a huge success. It's not like you've had to stump up the 5K, 10K, whatever into that. So a min cash is an absolute ridiculous return, isn't it? When you've satellited in or you've won a package, however it is.
Experience of it's pretty cool as well, though. It's like, just actually being in like a higher buying tournament, like away from, Manchester 235 or something like that. It's something that a lot probably not just dream of, but they want to do it. But then it's when push comes to shove, you try and convince missus or if obviously or your fella or something, or taking time off work to go play it. They're going, you're going to go out there and spend 400 quid on flights, 500 quid buying, 500 quid while you're there. Suddenly it becomes quite an expensive endeavour, and you're like, actually, I'm not up for this. And you eventually get into the cycle that I got into, where you just don't play live poker as much.
Can't be bothered.
Like a couple of quid, even if you're skint, it's just like half a takeaway coffee a week, innit? You could buy.
It's very easy to talk yourself out of something, isn't it? You can talk. Oh, well, actually, do you know what? I could do something else. Whereas if you bought some tickets and then you win a package, you're like, well, I've kind of got to go now. How can I not go and do this? So you then kind of go, well, all right, your excuses go out the window, don't they? To then go and experience it.
Yeah, that's what happened with us in Vegas, because my missus had wanted to go, but obviously 2 flights, just the flights were like £1,000 or something. So it were like silly money, but you couldn't justify it. And then I won this package through work, and it was like I had 5 nights in Win, obviously tournament entry and return flight. So I just went, you know what, we're going to be able to go to Vegas for 1 flight, because you can just stay in my room. And then it turned into we stayed like another 5 nights after that. And then I'm still paying credit card off from December from what we spent when we were out there. But we went out, and we wouldn't have done that otherwise, because we'd have been looking at £4,000, £5,000 for us to go out for 10, 11 days. And it ended up costing us, obviously, we overspent a little bit while we were there, but that's because we didn't know when we were getting back. But it were basically 3 nights in Treasure Island and or whatever it was, and return flight for missus. So it were a no-brainer to go.
Fantastic.
So,
I'll tell you what.
Once you had your 5 nights of the Win, you just moved over there. And what did you make of the Sphere, Matt? That's just an insane building and venue, isn't it? The Video Sphere.
Yeah, it was brilliant. Me and missus went, and the thing that wasn't brilliant was the $55 for 2 beers. That came out of a can. So the Yorkshireman in me were a little bit offended. But we watched the wildlife one. I can't remember what it's called.
Okay.
That were pretty cool. But Mrs. got a bit of vertigo when we were in there, because there's no like barriers
it's quite steep,
or anything.
Isn't it? Yeah, it's quite steep up round, isn't it? Yeah.
But yeah, it were good. I could see him playing poker in there. I could, because you could have that Sphere as any single setting you wanted. You could play it on, space station or underwater or something like that. Because I think they're doing a UFC fight there soon as well, apparently.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, there's meant to be a UFC fight going there. So, but
I'll tell you.
It is pretty cool. We could do APAT show from there. Could have your 2 faces in 12K definition.
That might not work.
100-foot screens.
That might be more costly for them than a $55 beer. Can you imagine? I tell you what, guys, all of this talk of Vegas has got me excited for a little bit of Shulman and Tuckman. They're going to be kicking off over there shortly, if they haven't already kicked off, I guess, for Sunday night, Monday. Well, no, it's Sunday over there, right? Sunday's schedule of events. No idea what it is. But is that something, Matt, do you have, it might be called taking your work home, but do you have any interest in watching any of those streams coming out of Vegas? Or do you just get your fill from, all of the content that's coming through that you have to ultimately manage in one way or another?
Sometimes it's like you say, it can be a bit of a busman's holiday, can't it?
Yeah.
When you it's when it's non-stop and you've just got like when I log on tomorrow, 2 events should have finished, but then and then there'll be like another 2 going, but then like on day after, I think there's like 7 events running. So my second screen just you're just looking, you get a little bit overwhelmed. If someone like one at Bricks gets to a final table, or if it's a final table where it's like big names like maybe 50k players championship, I'll stick stream on for that. I
Yeah,
probably get involved with main event as well. I'm like a little fangirl when it comes to main event. It's like NFL. I'll get some like
love it.
some chicken wings and some Miller Lite beer or something and sit and watch them. I have to get myself up for those ones, but yeah, it's quite difficult because the times that they're on, I'm usually working. So if I have stream on and they're
Yeah,
talking, it's quite off-putting doing my actual work as well. So
yeah. Well, listen, Matt, you've spent an hour and a half with us. Fair play, much appreciated. I think we're going to let you get to bed now if an early start's on the cards for tomorrow, which I suspect it is. I mean, thanks for all the work that you do, right? Because we're all enjoying it. And, I don't know how many people we've got watching in tonight, but pretty darn sure a lot of APATers and rec players are reading your work on a daily basis. We know, Carl and John with the fantasy WSOP, competition that they run. I mean, they've got 100 entrants plus in that competition. Just loving your work coming out of PokerNews. That is the source of a lot of their insight. Oh, Lee's, where's he going to?
I finished third in the fantasy last year. So I'm up.
Did you? Oh, there you go. Guy in the know. Guy in the know. So Leigh, you're plugging leads. So Friday the 14th to Sunday the 16th. That's going to be a great tourney, I'd have thought. And one Matt Pitt making his APAT debut. How cool is that?
Yeah, it will be great. It's a main event on the Friday night and on the Saturday afternoon, and then all players in the money into day 2. So plays down to 15% of the field, and everybody's in the money for day 2. And then there's a bunch of side events. I think actually a few more than we normally would have, if I remember rightly.
They actually get some decent numbers in for their weekly tournaments. Like the low bite, they've got like a 50, 55 and a 30 that they play, and it gets good numbers. I think Simon plays quite a few of them. Who's popped up in chat a couple of times.
Yeah.
So you should get some extra bums on seats if.
Yeah, so there's a side event on the side event on the Saturday night, 70 quid, and then there's one on the Sunday as well, and then there is our PLO championship on Sunday afternoon, which is the £120 buy-in, which is a round of each this time round, so it's no limit hold'em and PLO. So that's a fantastic one day comp on the Sunday afternoon. If you like a bit of PLO, we vary what we do. So sometimes it's straight PLO, sometimes it's round of each PLO 8, and this particular one is round of each no limit hold'em PLO. So that's a medal event as well on the Sundays of one day. So get involved in that if you want to. If you want to pre-reg for that, you can do it any Grosvenor casino, whichever one's your local one. Pop in there; they've got it on their system, and they will happily take your buy-in and get you pre-registered in advance for that if you want to. Obviously, we've got a bunch of people that are also got seats through poker raffles. We did another 3 tonight who picked up a seat tonight. Matt Cleaves, Rob Lloyd, and Yannick Seabrook picked up seats tonight. So congratulations to you guys. But we've done a stack of them in the past couple of weeks that are going to be playing APAT leads, and we've got a bunch of dailies this week as well if you want to get involved in that as well. All good.
Fantastic. Thank you, Leigh. So I think with that, guys, we are going to leave it for tonight. Thanks for joining us. Thank you to Matt, particularly for joining us. Good luck for the rest of the week, Matt, with your reporting, the rest of the summer, of course. Leigh and I will be back next Sunday evening, same time. We'll be a week from Leeds at that point. So do consider how you're going to get into that event if you are planning to go to Leeds. I think that's it from us, guys. So have a great week, and we will see you next weekend. Cheers, everyone. Night.